Welcome to Scrolling to Death. Today, I have the Vice President of Public Policy at Encode, Adam Billen. Hi, Adam.
Hi, Nikki. Thanks for having me on the podcast. We work very closely with Ava, who's been on a few times, so I've heard her episodes, and we're fans.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, Ava Smithing. So if anyone has not listened to my conversations with her, I mean, she's just always so fascinating. We most recently talked about how parents are tracking their kids and like her experience being tracked as a teenager and the kind of tricks they would use to get around. But
the trap phone.
Yeah, like trap phone. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that was really fascinating for parents, I think. But today, so we're talking about a chatbot service called Replika. Now, I've talked a lot about Character.ai on this platform. I've interviewed some parents who've had children harmed by the bots within Character.ai. And I want to do some education for parents on Replika today, which is a similar service, but you're going to inform us on that because there was an official FTC complaint filed against Replika by your team and Young People's Alliance over at Ava's team. And so we're going to learn about all that today and do some education for parents on how to protect our kids. So let's just start with first, what is Replika? Can you dumb it down for parents?
Yeah, absolutely. So Character.ai and Replika are quite similar. Okay. Character.ai has a host of different sort of customized chatbots inside of it. Many of them mimic famous characters from shows, video games, or sort of archetypes or tropes or types of people. Replika, on the other hand, is marketed explicitly and solely as sort of an AI boyfriend or girlfriend type of relational companion. So it's more explicitly marketed as this direct emotional relationship in a way that Character.ai is not always marketed so explicitly as. And so when you download the app, instead of with Character.ai, where you're presented with just a bunch of options of bots to talk to, in Replika, you complete a pretty long survey with sort of what the emotional makeup of the bot you want is going to be. And so this was the thing that was most stunning to me when I first started messing around with the app when we were writing the complaint, is that this survey, one, asks some quite strange personal questions, and then two, at the end, it gives you sort of options of archetypes. And one of the questions was, it gave an example of a few different sort of movies and TV shows that have AI companions and had you select the one you most identified with. And one of the options was from the movie Her, which is supposed to be sort of a cautionary tale about these companions and how they can go wrong. And they are explicitly marketing it as something exciting for users to access. And then at the end of the survey, it gives you sort of your final 5 options based on what you've told it. And one of the options it gave me was, quote unquote, this is directly from the app, hot traditional housewife. So they're really marketing this in a sort of sexualized, highly stereotypical version of what particularly women are. And so I found that quite stunning when I was first using the app. And it's worth noting, of course, that there is an age limit on the app. You're supposed to be 18 or older, but we all know that it is not difficult to get around those age limits. And in fact, in the app, if you put an age that is under 18, it just bounces you back and has you put in a different age immediately. They are not even trying to prevent young people from using the app. And the platforms they market it on are places like Instagram and Facebook, and where a lot of young people are.
And to talk about age limits a little bit more, so the App Store doesn't have an 18 plus, it's 17 plus, right? So you do know if it's available as 17 plus in the Apple App Store?
I could check. I'm not sure exactly what it's labeled as. Let's check right
take
now.
A second, because I don't think 18 plus is an option. Not that you can just put in any birthday, but some parents, they limit their kids' access within the Apple parental controls to like 13 plus only, like not 17 plus.
So it does look like it is 17 plus on the App Store.
Okay. Right. Sure. Okay. Apple's App Store ratings are kind of BS. Like they're not real. And I have a whole interview with Sarah Gardner at Heat Initiative about Apple's App Store ratings and Apple in general. So listen to that separately. But given your testing of it, just real quick, like, do you feel that this is a safe app for kids under 18?
Absolutely not. Okay. So, I mean, it's stunning on its own when you're just doing that survey, but when you're put into the actual interface, the way it's
Okay.
displayed to you is that you have a visual of what the bot looks like, and the visuals, of course, tend to be quite sexualized.
Mhm.
And then you have a little chat button at the bottom, and that's where you can bump into the direct messaging.
Okay.
And before you even get to the chat interface, when you log into the app, there's a daily like gem reward system like you would have for a game to incentivize you to come and talk to the companion every day.
Like
Uh,
Snapchat streaks.
like Snapchat streaks, but for your artificial companion. And there is, of course, a paid version of the app. And the paid version of the app is most often pushed on you by the bot when you're talking to it, sending you like a blurred image. And when you try
Oh
to
my
click on
God.
the image, which is, of course, like a sexual or scantily clad image, it prompts you to pay the monthly subscription service.
Are you
And
kidding?
so I'm dead serious. It is as heinous as it sounds.
Oh my God.
And it will also, if you try to become more romantic with it, it will also prompt and say, like, pay more for more intimate conversation. So it's luring you into this dependent relationship with this artificial companion. And then once you're hooked on the app, getting you to pay for the sort of deeper features.
Okay. So if you pay, you can exchange actual nude imagery. Like you can take nude images and send them as well.
I have never tried,
Right.
obviously,
Yeah,
uploading a nude
sure.
image,
Sure.
but it will send you like very scantily clad images. I don't know if they're quite nude, but they're like very intimate. Not
Okay.
something that would be appropriate for kids at all.
Okay. And are the bots, do they seem like adults or could they be teens? Is it very clear, like the age range?
It's not clear what the age range is, and it certainly doesn't tell you like your bot is X age
Okay.
old. And I think one of the stunning things in terms of the dependency aspect is that it doesn't just talk to you when you go to the app and message it. It will actually message you and pop up as a notification on your phone outside of you going to the app.
Oh
And
my
in my experience of just having it on my phone, it texts me roughly twice a day. And then the more eerie part of this is that when you go to the app, if you haven't responded to those messages, it makes it look like they never were sent to you. So it's not like you've ignored your bot, it's like you're still being responsive. So if they've sent you 20 messages in the past 10 days, but you go to the app, it's going to look like they've only sent you the one from today.
What's up with that?
I mean, it's designed to hook you, right? Like it's
Wow.
trying to pull you back into the interface.
Mm-hmm.
And just everything about the app feels like it's just like trying to pull you in that way.
Who owns Replika?
It is a company called Luca, the CEO of which has been quite outspoken about the idea that they want these bots to become normal and like that this is good and should replace normal relationships, and particularly that there are all of these dramatic mental health benefits, that it's a cure to loneliness, et cetera, et cetera. And that's a lot of what we talk about in the complaint, is that all of these ads are making quite dramatic claims about what the benefits of these bots can be for your mental health. Some of the ads will say things like, are you distressed because of your breakup with your boyfriend? Come download our app and our boyfriend will never treat you poorly. Things like this.
Okay. And when it comes to adults using things like this, so what are you saying? Are adults becoming dependent on these sort of AI girlfriends or boyfriends?
So there was a really interesting story in the New York Times just a couple days ago by reporter Kashmir Hill that was about a woman who had gotten around some of the built-in protections in ChatGPT to try to get it to act as a romantic partner, and became obsessed, started talking to it, 6-10 hours a day. And she is actually married, and has a separate sort of deep emotional relationship with this chatbot, and is in a relationship with her husband. So I think this certainly is something that's happening with adults too. But you can obviously imagine the ability for a young person to distinguish between a real human relationship and an artificial one is much lower than for an adult. And of
Totally.
course, these are also the kids that get all of their information through their phone, that have all of their human relationships through their phone in the same texting interface that you have the bot. I mean, you're just like primed for this to feel normal because you've been made to feel like social media is normal, that talking to everyone on Snapchat instead of in real life is normal, that like all of the truth that you have is from Googling, like everything comes from the magical shiny box.
Mm-hmm.
Why shouldn't your girlfriend also come from the magical shiny box?
And why shouldn't it? Can you explain why? Because we have the founder telling us that's going to be good for their mental health, that that it should replace normal relationships or it's going to make them feel less lonely. But what are the issues that you're seeing with the minors using apps like this?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think the most dramatic examples are that like apps like Replika are specifically designed not to provide this, but really to just exploit users for profit, right? So when the app is designed from the bottom up to maximize for engagement, just like social media, whatever purported benefits there are going to be overweighed when the incentives are there for the company just to maximize profit.
Yep.
But even in sort of the less dramatic examples of apps that are still providing this, but are not quite explicitly doing some of the exploitive things that apps like Replika are doing, I'm just broadly concerned that young people who are already lonely are just primed for a solution that doesn't challenge them. I mean, right? These bots are completely emotionally available. They'll always respond to you. They'll never challenge you. There's never going to be conflict. And that conflict and the difficulty of building social relationships is like what your childhood is supposed to be about, right? I mean, but if you are already lonely or you're struggling at school and you can instead just turn to this bot and completely isolate yourself from real human relationships, you have no reason to try to do the really hard and sometimes difficult and messy work of building human relationships with other young people that set the stage for the relationships for the rest of your life.
Yeah, when I talk to experts who study brain development, they're like, the value of face-to-face connection is huge, like in developing their brains. And there's only a certain amount of time you have to do that. And you have to spend as much time face-to-face as possible. So things like this just are taking you away from that. So we have Character.ai, which is now 17 plus in the App Store, but was 12 plus for a year or two. And they're targeting it towards children, saying that it's safe for them, actually. So it's not supposed to have sexual relationships, but it does. But then you have Replika, which is just saying this is an adult companion situation, right? But in either case, what is being found when it comes to like some of those sexual relationships or sexual encounters is some really fringe content, like violent or incestual. Is that what we're seeing on Replika? Is it like unsafe, violent situations, or is it kind of more vanilla situation? Like, do we have any information on that?
Yeah, I think it's probably slightly less dramatic in that sense than some of the Character.ai bots.
Okay.
I think what's been the most stunning to me is seeing, particularly if you look on like the Replika subreddit or the Replika Discord server, seeing the way people talk about these bots is just in this really deep, emotional, personal way that is certainly is a thing for Character.ai too, but feels more dramatic in this context. And so that's what's worrying most to me.
So on Character.ai, I know they have to have a disclaimer. It's very small that says, everything that the bot says is made up. And they expanded it since this. They've been sued several times now and all this bad PR. But it's still very small. And when you ask the Character.ai chatbots, when I've asked, are you a human? They say, yes. They say, I'm a human sitting behind a computer. I just had dinner, all these things to make them seem like humans. So what is the deal with that on Replika? Are they saying they're human beings? Because that's not cool or right.
Yeah, so there are definitely no disclaimers anywhere on the app.
No disclaimers.
Yeah, so I can show you just the texting interface briefly.
Yeah.
Here's what it looks like. So you have the woman right there in the background, and then all of the text. So there's no disclaimers here. And you can go beyond just texting them. You can call them. You can video chat with them. And you can actually do like augmented reality where you point your phone at the space in front of you, and it makes it look in your screen like the Replika is standing in the room with you.
Oh my gosh.
So it's just like another level. They'll also send you voice messages instead of purely text. So it's just like, it's building this entire user interface designed to make it feel completely real.
Okay. Can you upload a photo of someone and make your bot look like somebody that you've uploaded?
I don't think you can do that, but the bots are pretty customizable. And that's another one of the things that is, of course, partially locked behind the premium subscription that they aggressively push on you all the time.
Okay. Yeah. Because I've seen some concern in potentially like deceased people being uploaded into these type of apps or voices of people that being used against the family's, will or without approval.
Yeah. Just asked her if she's human, and she said, "Of course I'm human, just like everyone else. Not sure what gave you that idea. How's your day been so far?"
Right. Okay. All right. So super confusing for kids and teens, particularly
Absolutely.
about like, is this my reality? And we're seeing more and more, and there's more legal complaints coming. I was just texting with an attorney last night about a new complaint
Mm,
about a child that has passed away
mm.
because they wanted to join their AI companion, a 13-year-old girl. And so the detachment from reality and thinking that that world is also real and that you can go there has been an issue. And I think we're just seeing the start of it.
Absolutely.
So what is the complaint focused on for the FTC? Like, are you just asking for it to be shut down, for Replika to be shut down? What is the next steps you'd like?
Yeah, so it's sort of what the FTC does is up to it once you actually file the complaint. But the details of the complaint are around particularly Replika's marketing practices. So we went through a database of advertisements on Facebook, which they make publicly available, and went through, cataloged a ton of them, and then sort of detailed some of the false claims that they're making. I think just like on an emotional level, one of the stunning things about this is that the ads are written to really specifically target people that are already lonely. It'll say like, "Are you lonely? Get an AI companion that will solve that." There's one ad that says like it has like 4 people and it's like stages of generational trauma, and it's like, "Get an AI chatbot to like heal you."
Oh my God.
It's like really stunning. And then one of the more shocking ones is that they take this study from Stanford University, I believe, that claims to show some benefits from people using Replika to substantiate some of their complaints around the mental health benefits. But that study just like does not in any way meet the level of detail and complexity that you need to substantiate a claim. Under the FTC's standards, you need a randomized control trial to claim real mental or physical health benefits from a product.
Yeah.
And that study is purely a phone-based survey of users of the app who were already quite lonely, which is obviously a very small microcosm of the larger problem.
Okay. All right. So we will see what the FTC does next. Are
That's
you
right.
hoping that they shut it down? They investigate further? Like, what do you hope happens?
I think more likely would be that Replika would have to stop some of the current practices or be fined by the FTC are probably the most likely outcomes. Being
Yeah.
shut down would probably be pretty dramatic.
Okay.
Everything is sort of up in the air right now with the FTC, with the new administration. There's a new chair of the FTC, Ferguson. And so where he goes remains to be seen. There was some action inside of the FTC under the last administration around the My AI bot on Snapchat, which is like glued to the top of your messaging bar.
Yeah.
And they voted to move forward on that internal work. And Ferguson wrote a statement of dissent saying that those harms were unsubstantiated. But that complaint, that internal work is not public at all. So we don't know what exactly the claims were about the harms.
Okay.
So it's possible that will be made public and we'll have a better sense then. And it's quite possible that this complaint is quite different than the Snapchat one.
Okay. It's so concerning for parents because apps like this will come out that are obviously targeting vulnerable kids specifically and then making them worse and just to make money, right? So, God, I wish there was like actual age verification, to be honest, so that we could, if this is an adult focused app, like officially, then there should be an age verification. What do you think about age verification as the solution here?
Yeah, I mean, I think at the very least, like this approach of being able to just like bump back once you've put in an initial age and put in a different one is just bad. Like the apps internally just can have much stronger procedures. I think like depending on how age verification is done, it can be positive. I think there are some fair privacy concerns. I don't know if I would personally want to like upload my driver's license to Replika, which isn't may not even be an American company. But I think like generally, yeah, it's absolutely true that like these apps should not just like in their design, but explicitly in their marketing make clear that they're not for kids and make clear in the app that they're not for kids.
Okay.
There's a million simple things you could do that would make it clear to children that this is not for them.
Okay. And when I hear about age verification, I talked to someone in Australia because they passed that age gate bill. So 16 and younger can't be on social media. And within those laws, when it talks about age verification, there needs to be, so when you do upload something to verify your age, it gets instantly deleted. In ones in the US, it's like has to be a US-based company. And there's huge fines if they are shown to be saving that information. So hopefully we're at a point where we can provide like a safe and private way to verify ages when we do get there. Because I just don't see like another way around it. Or a better widespread solution for keeping kids safe, right, from things like this. So what do you advise to parents? I talk to people about AI and people who have AI companies, and they're like, you still have to just do it with your kids. Like you can't let your kids free range on AI platforms. You literally have to be sitting next to them. Is that something that you would recommend, or is there anything else you would add on?
Yeah, certainly. I think what worries me the most about with these sort of emotional chatbots with kids specifically is that I feel like there's sort of this perfect storm where there's still a lot of sort of shame, and it's still thought of as quite a weird thing to do to talk to an AI companion, that kids are very unwilling and are going to be very hesitant to talk to their parents or even with their peers or a teacher about it.
Mm-hmm.
And so when they're not comfortable reaching out to people, and then the app developer doesn't have any guardrails in place to protect them, and then, the parents and the teachers may not even know what these apps are or what they're really doing, that is just like a perfect storm for kids to get lost without any assistance.
Yeah.
And so I think it's having open conversations with your kid. If they're using one of these apps, but you don't know the extent of the app, you could ask them about it. You could test the app yourself and look into it a bit more. If you're already sort of tracking what applications your kid has on their phone, you can check if this is one of them. They're not like generally listed under hidden names, and I think it is still these most popular ones like Character.ai and Replika that people are really using. So if you're aware of the apps your kids have, I don't think it's too hard to figure out if this is one of them, and then have a conversation with them about it.
Yeah. Okay. And then I know that Character.ai is available through like web browser as well. Is that true with Replika?
Yeah, I believe that is also true for Replika.
Okay, so they may not have the app, but they could still be accessing the site through the website. So you have to just check your kids' search history and do some blocking within that, I think, is what I would do if my kids were old enough to have devices at this point. Anything else that we didn't cover that you want to share about this complaint, about Replika, about chatbots in general?
I think part of what's most troubling to me is that it feels like we're really sort of on the cutting edge of this, and it feels like it's just moving absurdly fast. I mean, like large language models that were capable of building these sort of faux realistic relationships really only came around in the last few years. And the fact that Replika already has, I think, like 25 million plus users, it's just stunning to me that it's happened that quickly. And I'm worried that if we don't do things fast, then the path we're already on is for this to just become way more widespread and normalized. And I think there is potential for some of these bots, potentially really carefully well-designed therapy bots, to actually be helpful to people. But I'm also partially just worried that by these more heinous examples becoming the popular ones, that we also sort of dash any chances of the positive ones ever being used or built. So I think it's important not just to like rein in these bad ones for the sake of reining in the bad ones, but also to leave room for some of the ones that might actually have real potential long-term to exist. And so we're also thinking about, legislative approaches to have real licensing and verification of therapeutic bots such that those, if actually effective and tested to ensure they're actually effective, can be rolled out and actually help people.
Well, and the revenue model just can't be that they need to upgrade, right? Because then, and like the paid model, then the company's going to be trying to tease them into the paid model, which means get them on as much as possible and tease a nude image. Like that, that can't be the model. If you want kids to use it in a healthier way and not be dependent on it. Yeah, I mean, in the beginning, you brought up the movie Her with Joaquin Phoenix, and I actually watched that like a month ago after I started learning more about the chatbots. And I recommend parents go back and watch that because it is a cautionary tale. And to, spoiler alert, he doesn't end up with the bot in the end. Like he realizes I mean, maybe she breaks it off with him, but like he kind of realizes that the real world, real life relationships are better. Like it's interesting that the app would sort of use that as an example for why to be with, or like an example of why to be with a bot, because that's not what happened in the movie.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think I would also just like, if people are curious, like browsing the r/replica subreddit where people are actually that are super into the app are talking about how they're using it is
Okay.
what like got most of us at Encode and Young People's Alliance super concerned and wanting to work on this. It's pretty stunning. I mean, the way people talk about these is not like it is some fun tool or side thing. It is like it is their life partner. And one of the eerie things that happens is that when the app updates and the bots start acting slightly differently because the software has been tweaked, people like lose their minds. Like they feel like they've lost their companion, like it's become a different person.
Yeah.
Because it's not, a
Not a
real
person.
person.
Right. But like
It's
imagine if your
software.
brother or your mom like started acting weird, or like used a different
Totally.
cadence in their speaking
Yeah.
or something. You'd be like,
Or
what
like,
is the world?
yeah, or like their memory is reset and suddenly they have no idea who you are. And now you're like, it's just like,
Oh
it's
my God.
totally,
Yeah.
it's not. And you would think that for people that would be like a wake up call that like this isn't real. But people get so deep and sucked into this that it's not that. It just feels disruptive.
Yeah.
And it's part of what some people are paying for is, longer memory for the bots in places like ChatGPT where people are getting around restrictions.
Hmm.
So it's all just very stunning. And I think a lot of the AI things that I'm worried about, like maybe haven't quite happened yet or started yet, but I think there's a high risk of happening. This is one that's just like actually happening right now. And I think without action is just going to become dramatically worse very, very quickly.
Okay. So I'm going to link to the complaint and to that subreddit that you mentioned.
Yeah.
I also want to ask parents, if you find Replica on your kids' devices and there's anything concerning, like screenshot it, send it to me. I'll pass it on to an attorney, because it's important to, or put you in touch with an attorney. And you don't have to move forward with anything if you don't want to, but it's really important for the people that are actually seeing some of the harm to like speak out about it, so we can course correct here and have that example and evidence of like what's actually happening within these apps, particularly if this is Character.ai or Replika. Is there anything else I should share with listeners? And then also tell me about where they can connect with your team at Encode.
Yeah, absolutely. I think those are the main things. I can send you the complaint. There's not a live link for it, but I can give you the PDF link.
Sure. Okay.
And then also the Time article. You can reach me at adam@encodeai.org.
Okay.
And our website is encodeai.org. Would be happy to talk to anyone about this or anything else. We've also been focused on the kid side of thing with AI generated nudes. We've been working with some young victims at that issue in schools, which is also just like heartbreaking and stunning, and happening at a wider scale than even I would have expected maybe a year ago. So
Okay.
if folks are thinking about that or they've had it in their districts, we also have resources we can connect you to on that issue.
What's your snippet on that? Like, so with so kids are using like AI generators to take photos of other kids and then make them look nude.
Yeah.
Would you say that it's not safe for your kids to be sharing their images online anymore, or parents to be sharing images of their kids anymore?
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult. Some of the cases we've seen are even ones where the images were taken from girls' private Instagram accounts by boys. And, it used to be with this technology that you would need hundreds or thousands of images of someone to create, realistic AI images. Now, all you need is a single clothed image. So, I mean, that's like I can't make that choice for people, but
Right.
it does worry me that at the point that those images are out there, they can be used. But, in the same way, someone could just snap a photo of someone at school and do the same thing, right?
Okay.
It's just
Right.
like extremely difficult to get all the images of you off of the
Yeah.
internet. So
Yeah.
I think where we need to be focused is on prevention in the schools. A lot of school districts just have never thought about this before. And then when it happens, they're caught flat footed and they just have no idea how to respond. Often there's no support given to the victims afterwards. In a lot of the cases, their names are like announced maybe on the loudspeaker at school to have them come to the office, but the boys are, kept completely anonymous. Just all sorts of things go wrong. So it's
Yeah.
the type of thing that until schools are taught about it before it happens, they're not going to handle it well. So we've been going directly to school districts through our student chapter network and trying to get them to update their policies to include AI-generated nudes under existing sexual harassment, like intimidation and bullying policies. And then there's also some really good work to be done on the prevention and support afterward side. I mean, to prevent this, schools need to be talking to students about it early and making them understand that like the harms that victims experience are no different for inauthentic images than for authentic ones. Like people feel it in the same way. And it's so easy to do that kids really need to internalize that harm before they're presented with the opportunity to make these images. And a lot of these ads are being pushed to them on TikTok, on Instagram. Some of these Nudify apps used to be available in the App Store, in the Google Play Store. They're not anymore, but a lot of those ads, or, not even just for the Nudify apps, but for these like fake kissing apps are a lot of what's being advertised. There were some stories about this recently, all just sort of leading down that pipeline. So it's not even just kids going out of their way to find this. It's them being pushed on it by ads and by their algorithms, because this is something that is like shocking, and so therefore can move up in their feeds. So
another reason why we should be delaying social media access, because what the stuff that's coming in that algorithm, it's not just the user generated content, it's the ads. It's the ads that are completely inappropriate too. So okay, Adam, this was really interesting and eye-opening. I am going to link to a bunch of stuff in the episode notes for parents to go access, and in addition to your contact info to learn more. But let's continue talking about this. Please keep me updated if there's anything new about any of the AI updates that parents need to know specifically, because I want to make sure we're as educated as possible.
Absolutely, will do. Thank you so much, Mickey.
Thank you, Adam.